My name's Ardale Brown, and these things behind me are my original side-by-sides. Yeah, hey, and there's some more of my original side-by-sides right here. Yes, and these are my original side-by-sides down this lane too. Old original side-by-side hubcaps. Row of Shelby side-by-side. Here's some more original side-by-sides.
Welcome to the original side-by-side. We all can appreciate the beauty of a restored car. In this episode, we are going to explore some beautiful restored cars and the stories behind them. I'm here with Ardale Brown in what might be one of the best, if not the best, car collections in the whole western United States. This is so amazing here. How many vehicles do you have here, Ardale?
Probably about 160.
Wow.
It varies from time to time, but in that range.
This is just an amazing place. We're going to get into the cars a little bit, but first I'd just like to ask, what got you into cars? And has it always been cars that you've been interested in?
Well, yeah, I think so. I bought my first car when I was about 15. And just I've always had at least one or two since then, 3 or 4 a lot of the times.
And what was the first car you bought?
It's a little 41 Ford two-door.
What did you do to earn the money to buy that car?
Actually, I was a paper boy. I worked for the Deseret News. And I also ran one of their paper stations. And then I also worked evening stuffing papers for a few years.
So he was saying running paper stations, you were managing people, managing paper
other
boys.
paper boys.
So from a very young age, you started managing people. Is that right?
Paper boys, yeah.
Paper boys. Very good. You said over 160 cars, and I see there's motorcycles and there's all kinds of great things here. What is one of your favorite things about this?
Well, it's fun. People enjoy it. We do a lot of car tours, and everybody that comes in here has about the same statement you just made. Some of them even get a little more emotional.
Oh, I was excited. I tried to hold back my emotions. I didn't want to be embarrassed in front of the film crew. Do you have a name for this?
Well, it's kind of got dubbed the Ardale Brown Ranch. It's instead of horses, it's cars.
And when you first bought it, was it a horse ranch?
Yeah, it was a horse ranch when we first bought it. A bunch of gals here had, like there was 18 or 19 horses, and they were all housed in the other building over there. Then the rest of the property was sagebrush.
Wow.
There was no cement, no blacktop, and no grass.
So, out of all of these vehicles, do you have a favorite?
That's a question that I get asked probably 4 times a day. I tell them they're kind of like your kids. You need to love them all. Some days you love one more than others, but it changes from day to day.
What's your favorite thing about these cars?
Just having them and the volume of them and being able to look at them and love them.
How often do you get groups coming and wanting to?
Probably 8 or 10 times a week.
So you had mentioned earlier that you saved some money and you bought a 41 Ford.
Boy, that was a long time ago.
Was that the start of your interest of cars?
Yeah, I think it was. Now, actually, I had a couple older brothers. They had cars before I did, and I was pretty interested in their cars.
Did you ever imagine that it would be this big?
No, never really ever thought about it being this big, or thought about it being big at all. Just it seemed like once you get started, it's kind of like a big snowball going downhill.
You have a journey ahead of you. How will you create it? How will you embrace it? How will you achieve it? How will you change the world and discover yourself in the process? You will, at Snow College.
My
name is Angie Brown. I've been working with my dad now for close to 30 years. I started out as a part-time receptionist, and I left and went to school and came back and took another job and came back and took another job and came back. And he says, if you come back, you're staying. And that was 1988, and I've been here ever since. I'm not a car buff. I love the pretty colors. If you look down this aisle, you've got almost every color of the rainbow. I have a thing for old Chevys and 66 Mustangs. When I came out of high school for high school graduation, there was a cute little red 66 Mustang coupe sitting in the school parking lot with my name on it. The story of Daddy taking the T-Bird away, Daddy took my Mustang away, and that was the story of my life for the next year or two. And then as soon as I got out of college, he's like, oh, you're on your own now. So I started buying my own cars. I don't have anything fun like this, but I figured, why do I need to own one when I've got all this to play with? As boss employee, we work really well together. Father-daughter, sometimes it's a little bit hard, especially when he wants to talk business on weekends or at nights and things like that. But it's still fun. I wouldn't work for anybody else except for my dad. Weber State is actually renaming their automotive building after him. It'll be the Ardell Brown Automotive Center, I believe. He figured, why not leave a legacy and help people feel the passion and the love for the cars that we were all brought up with.
Hi, my name is Kelly Stackrock. I'm the Senior Development Director for the College of Engineering, Applied Science and Technology at Weber State University. And we are proud to announce that due to a very generous donation from Ardell Brown, we will be branding our automotive technology wing the Ardell Brown Automotive Technology Wing, and it will provide a perpetual funding source in support of our labs. And Ardell has been a great friend of our automotive technology department.
He goes to auctions every year, a couple times a year, and he's the king of the memorabilia. Coming over here, he's got a bunch of collector guns. These ones are all LDS Church oriented in these big cases. We've got some Boy Scout guns. We've got, so this one commemorates Carthage Jail and the state of Utah gun. This one's for the firefighters. This is a ball that was given to us the night that we kicked out the first ball in the new stadium. And just all kinds of fun memorabilia. If he can collect it, he'll collect it. Yeah, some of Ardell's favorite cars are just the old classic American muscle cars, the American cars. There's really not a whole lot of diversion with us with having a lot of foreign cars. We seem to stick with the American, which is the best way to go. It doesn't take anything fancy or tricky to usually fix them up. Some of the European cars are a little bit rougher to take care of. And he just likes the ones that he was born and raised on. And you know, Ardell's just a car guy at heart. Instead of playing with the Hot Wheels cars, he has the life-size Hot Wheels cars.
They are everywhere. In your home, in your lawn. Only one can save you from the creepy crawly things that lurk in the shadow. Eco-Man. He takes the battle to places where no one wants to go to save your family from the insects and rodents that ruin your home. He possesses the power to kill those unwanted pests safely without harm or worry to your family and pets. Thanks, Eco-Man.
Ardell took us into a special collection he has in his laundry room.
This car is the Arnold Jenkins Special. They raced on the salt flats in the early 30s, 31, 32, 33, along through there. It's the predecessor for the Mormon Meteor 1, 2, and 3. So it's actually before all of those. Actually, the totally original car was tore apart to build some of the others. And it does not totally exist anymore. This is the replacement for it. Put together under the direction of the Jenkins family. And it's just basically as near identical as it could get. And it's been on the salt a couple of times, and it runs about 125, 130 miles an hour on the salt through the measured mile. That's commemorative 53. There's a company that takes a regular Corvette late model, takes it all apart, puts a 53 front end and rear end on it, and they call it a commemorative 53. And that one's had a custom interior, and it's had a hardtop built for it, and it's got a 900 horsepower engine. This car was belonged to Rusty Wallace. He's probably one of the top NASCAR drivers of the country. And he ran this car in '98 in the inaugural opening of the Las Vegas Raceway. That's why all of the Elvis and the Viva and the keyboard, all of the Las Vegas type stuff's on it. So it's basically a Las Vegas car. It placed third in that initial opening race at the Las Vegas Raceway. And I've got the history of all of the races it did that year. And it did quite well. Didn't ever win first, but it was top 10 2 or 3 times. You ought to zoom in on that and get a picture of that right. That's a phenomenal picture. That, just looking at the picture tells the story. But if you look at the name on it down there, the competition has arrived. This is basically when Carroll Shelby took the Cobras and the GT40s and the Daytona Coupes to the Grand Prix to race the Ferraris. And obviously, you know the history of that. He won that hands down. And that's what the picture, if you look at the picture carefully, there's the Ferraris in the background and all of the Shelby stuff in the foreground. And the name of it, the competition has arrived. I don't know how you beat that.
By profession, will you tell us what you've been doing for your life?
Well, actually, I started out selling used cars in 1957. That's close to 60 years ago. And most of these cars are the same brand and same model that I was selling, you know, as used cars when they were 1 or 2 or 3 years old.
What was the dealership that you were working at? Do you remember?
Brother and I were in business. Name of the business, OK Motors.
And that was your own business?
Yeah.
Selling used cars? Were you in?
Yeah, I've never worked for anybody in the car business.
You probably wouldn't be able to make a very good resume then, could you?
I couldn't even make one. Go back to the Deseret News, I guess.
Back to the Deseret News. I think there's anybody there that could write you a reference?
I doubt it.
So you've sold cars basically your whole life?
Pretty much my whole life. Yep.
Cars and RVs and
we
has there been any
kind of went into
parameters?
the RV business. It was a little more lucrative, I guess you'd say, than used cars were. And we expanded on that. We was the largest RV dealer in the state pretty much through the 90s and the early 2000s. And got a chance to sell out, and I was, I think, 67 years old, so I figured, well, it's time to sell. And that has worked out good. It's given me the time to move in and do this.
That's great. So, tell me a little bit about your brother. Did you have different roles in the dealership?
Well, we were only together for probably 10 or 12 years, and then we kind of each went separate directions.
Did you go separate directions because you were brothers, or just the business took you separate directions?
Yeah, probably because we're brothers. He stayed in the RV business a little heavier at first than I did, and I stayed in the used car business. And we had the 2 biggest dealerships in the state through the 90s and early 2000s.
So did he become a competitor, or did you keep a pretty good relationship?
We were both pretty good competitors, I guess you'd say. Yeah, we were competitors, but we worked together quite well.
I started my journey at Snow College because of the
beautiful campus,
amazing professors,
fun, friendly people,
hands-on classroom experience,
affordable education.
I love the social life,
our nationally ranked football team,
the intramural sports,
opportunities to get involved,
small class sizes,
amazing improv theater.
My teachers know me,
campus activities.
It feels like home.
So you mentioned earlier that these cars are kind of like your children. So I know that sometimes my children.
How'd you like to have that many kids?
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say, and I'm sure you feel that way, and I bet feel like you know each of them and their little quirks. Do you drive any of these cars?
Back when we started, we used to drive them a lot. And as the volume has increased, it's made it harder, especially to get them out. I mean, you know, to get that car out, it'd take me an hour and a half, 2 hours, and I'd have to have a couple guys helping me.
Just moving.
Just to get that out. So obviously, it sits.
Yeah.
Some of the runs in the front, we drive a little bit. We take them out when we're going to take them to a show, and we do that. We do that quite a bit. We do it at kind of a volunteer type thing. They ask us to do it, and then of course we hold usually at least one, sometimes 2 or 3 shows a year here.
Oh yeah.
So you know, at the end of the year, we're almost showed out.
I'll bet you are. I'll bet you are. So, why do you think it's more popular when people see these older cars at a car show? Why do you think their interest is there?
Well, I don't get to see them very often. Like if you're talking about the new car show, you know, they're there to look at the new cars and see what they're thinking about buying. And of course, while they're there, the golden opportunity to look at these, and they really enjoy it.
We were talking a little bit earlier that's maybe, I don't want to say a dying trade, but it's not. It's struggling in the industry just a little bit, isn't it? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, it would seem like maybe that, but there's a lot more auctions around the country than there ever used to be, and really bringing the industry back to life, I think. Some of these are getting awful big. There's a lot of classic car sales going on in this country.
So the classic car sales is definitely growing. But what age group do you think is doing that?
When I go to the auctions, I look around, and most of them are, I'd say, over 50. I mean, there are, you know, there's definitely a bunch of them under 50, but the more of them are on the plus side of 50.
And why do you think that is?
Well, you know, they grew up a little bit more with these cars than the younger generation, the guys that are 20 and 30 and maybe 40. They didn't have much of an opportunity to grow up with these cars.
Maybe the older ones have a little more wherewithal.
Money.
Yeah, a little more money. Maybe a little more disposable income.
That's very definitely the case. I mean, in today's economy, most of the young couples, you know, 25 to 40, they're trying to buy a house and they're trying to raise kids, and there's not too many of them in position to do these kind of cars.
Yeah.
But once their house is paid for, their kids are gone, then they a lot of them start leaning this direction.
So when you're looking to buy a car at an auction, what do you look for?
Well, obviously, the number one thing I look for is a good buy, but I also want to buy a good car. So I look for cars that have been done right, and that I feel like I can sell, or that I want to own.
Do you ever just fall in love with something when you first see it?
Yeah, that happens. Yep, I do.
Does that cost you a little bit more money when you're at an auction and you're in love with it?
Yeah, it does. Yeah, it definitely does.
Do you ever see someone bidding and you can tell that they're in love with it? Do you know who you're bidding against when you're bidding? Is it an open auction like that?
Been to enough of them that I pretty well can tell what's going on and pretty much know what's going on. The average guy that goes to an auction doesn't have a clue what's happening.
Right, and you've been doing that your whole life, so.
Well, the last 15 years, let's put it that way.
Yeah. What about selling at an auction?
It depends on the auction. Some of them are on a little on the selective side, and you can't blame them. And of course, there's different auctions that specialize in different type cars. Some of the auctions specialize in the older, fully restored old cars. You know, cars that are in the $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 up to the $3 or $4 million price range. And other auctions specialize in cars that are $10,000 to $30,000. The same auction, you know, can have a Thursday day that they're 10 to 30, and a Friday day that they're 30 to 60, and a Saturday day that they're 50 to $1 million.
What's the most you've ever spent for a car? Or what are some of your cars worth?
Oh, we've spent a couple $100,000 a few times on cars. I normally try and keep my cars in the 30 to 75 range.
What's $1 million car?
$1 million car, in today's market, there's a Mercedes Benz Gull Wings are all on the plus side of $1 million now. And it used to be, you could buy them for 75 or 100. Now they're $1 million.
Wow.
Bugattis are all on the pretty much plus side of $1 million. Duesenbergs, probably the highest priced American cars generally, and most of those are on the plus side of $1 million.
Wow.
And that puts you into a lot of money in cars.
That's a lot of money in cars in a big hurry.
Just normal little poor guy, we don't, we try and stay away from that market.
It's interesting you say that as we're sitting in this beautiful place. Yeah, all these cars, we can see there's a lot of value here.
Well, if we had $1 million cars, I'd have to just put them over in the shop, and it'd take you about 2 or 3 minutes to see them all.
Here at our EcoLife training facility, we know that insects can damage your home and lawn. That's why each of our technicians goes through a vigorous training. When you need lawn care services or pest control services, just remember, EcoLife has the best trained technicians in Utah. Eco-safe, eco-effective, that's EcoLife. The dollar value that you're saying on a classic car is not really that shocking when you look at sticker price of a new diesel pickup truck or a new car. You're still upwards of $30,000 to $60,000. Wouldn't you rather have one of these?
Well, that's the other side of the coin. One of these cars, if you buy the right one, if you spend $50,000 or $60,000 for it, 3 or 4 years from now, it might be worth $70,000 or $80,000, or maybe $100,000. If you got lucky and bought the right one, it might be worth $200,000 or $300,000. A lot of cars have done that. A lot of people have made a lot of money by owning the right cars.
Ardell, do you have any predictions on what cars are going to increase in value? Maybe you don't want to share that because you're in the business, but do you have any predictions?
It's hard to really know. That Mustangs and Camaros are definitely going to increase. Old Corvettes from the 70s back are definitely increasing. From the 70s forward, eventually they probably will start. If you get back into the 30s, some of the popular stuff back in the 30s was the Fords. The early 30s, 32s and 33s were the hot rod type cars. Most of them have been built into hot rods, and they bring a lot of money. If you ever find an original one, they bring a lot of money.
A lot of money, a lot more than the hot rod.
Well, it
depends
on how they're done. I mean, they could be more, they could be the same, or they could be less, depending on the car. Yeah, the industry as a whole is growing, and my prediction is that it will continue to grow. The bank pays you, what, 1/10 of 1%?
Yeah.
If you're lucky. And I mean, these, I think they're growing 2 or 3 or 4%, 5% a year. Certain cars are growing 10 or 15% a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, we've got a lot of cars in here that, I bought 10 years ago. And they're worth, some of them double what I paid for them. Some of them are worth the same. Some of them might even have a car or two that's worth less.
You wouldn't want to admit that, though, would you?
No, I wouldn't. But most of them are worth more than we paid for them.
Good. So it's a great sound investment.
Yeah. I think that's why I get interested in it. I like to make sound investments. I don't like to buy stuff that ends up going down. Just never like to do that.
You say that, and in reading a little bit about you before I came to interview you, I was so impressed with the generosity. You're one of the most generous people in Utah and maybe even in the Western United States. And this shows, just looking at this place here, knowing that you have youth groups come, you said 2 or 3 times a week, and once a day at least someone's coming to be here, and you're willing to open this place up for anyone, and I think that's fantastic. And thank you for sharing with us today. This has just been awesome. Ardell, thank you so much for your time. I've loved interviewing you. I've had a fantastic time, and I've learned a lot. Thank you so much.
Well, good. I'm glad you have. I hope you remember it.
I will, for sure.
Okay.
We're on our way to see Ardell Brown. Huge car collection. We're so excited to see everything he's got. We got our film crew. We're on I-15 in Utah. What else do we want to say? Have you ever seen a completely restored 67 Chevelle? They've got it right here. Come check it out. Arnell, where am I?
You're doing good. You're doing good.
Hey. Even Elvis likes a Mustang. I don't know what Elvis really says. It's not hey. That's like Fat Albert.
Go.
We got Sean from out behind the camera just for a minute to talk about this 1960 El Camino.
This is possibly one of the greatest cars ever made. Not only is it a car, it's a truck. You can't get better than that. It's everything you need in one car.
Not sure how to open it, but we're gonna have to edit that. It's got your straight 8, straight 6. I don't know why I said 8. That just came out of my mouth that way. We're here with Adam. Adam, this is your car of choice. Why?
I've always loved the trucks, the classic trucks. Just enjoy the trucks a little more than the cars.
But your family's growing. It's only a 2-seater. Kids in the back?
Kids in the back. Yep.
That's how it used to be in 1961.
You just put a mattress in there, you're good to go.
Perfect. Not even a seat. No, it's too late. Blew it. I can't even say. How could I possibly say that again? This is Wyatt, one of our crew members. Wyatt, why would you choose this car?
The thing is, I'm not like a huge car enthusiast. It's kind of new. It's really fast. Looks really nice. Has a nice interior.
This is a 2008. Is that about the year you were born?
Pretty much.
We can all appreciate a good-looking car, especially a restored car. We have found the greatest place in Utah, maybe even in the Western United States. It's Ardell Brown Classic Cars. If you're ready to purchase a car, this is where you want to come. All of these cars are for sale. They've got prices on the windows. They're ready to go. They're ready to drive out of here. You should come and pick one up and show off to your friends, do some burnouts in your neighborhood.
I hope you enjoyed today's episode as much as I did. We're off to find our next great story. See you next time on The Original Side by Side. If you or someone you know has a collectible car with a great story behind it and you would love to share your story, please go to the website below and send us your information.